Alright, here we go. So welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a video on a Grand Cherokee L with a 5.7 and a 3.6. So this is going to be a V8, V6. I know a lot of people have been asking me to do this video, and today I'm going to just go ahead and do it because I found a 5.7 for the first time, and we can just go ahead and test the V6 right behind it. And the best part about this video is these are both Overland, so they have air suspension which can actually adjust, so it makes the testing a lot more apples to apples. So we should really get a good read on which one is going to be best for you. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Really quickly, be sure to subscribe to JB Reviews and make sure you have those bell notifications on, and be sure to check out my other channel, Attainable Exotic Cars. Now let's get back to the video. One complaint I hear online is people are kind of upset with the powertrains in both of these Jeeps, and it's mainly because they're both ancient. Now I don't see that as a problem because a lot of the issues that they've had in the past would most likely be fixed in the 3.6 and this 5.7 liter V8. As far as power goes, this does have 357 horsepower. The V6 is going to have 290 horsepower, and they're both made it to 8-speed transmissions. However, they're very different. So this actually has more of like a car transmission, as I call it, and this has more of like a true pickup truck transmission, and I'll give you my impressions on both of them when we get on the road. Now both the Overlands I have here have the trailer hitch on the back. It is going to be a class 4 receiving hitch, and you do have a 7-pin and a 4-pin connector. If you do opt to get this specific Grand Cherokee L with the V6, it can tow up to 6,200 pounds. Walking over to the Grand Cherokee L with the 5.7, you have the same setup in terms of the hitch and the plugs. However, you can tow 7,200 pounds with this one. Now when you get this option, you do upgrade a few things. Let's go over a few of them. The first thing, you can't really see it down here, you do upgrade the rear axle from 195 millimeters to 230 millimeters. The gross vehicle weight rating does go up about 200 pounds. It goes from 6,700 pounds, which is on the V6, to 6,900 pounds, which is going to increase your payload capacity. And the reason why they do that is because the 5.7 is slightly heavier, so they just try to offset it a little bit, but it does give you a little bit more capacity for this SUV. And the last thing that it gives you is a brake hold that you can push if you're at like a stoplight. But let's go ahead and take this Grand Cherokee 5.7 on the road first, and then we'll follow up with the V6, okay? So we're going to start with the 5.7 liter first. So already out of the gate, if you're just cruising at normal speeds, like I'm in the city right now, you can't really tell that this is a 5.7 liter V8 until you punch it, like which I'm going to do right now. Then you really hear that thing just come to life. So a few reasons why I really would probably pick this one over the 3.6 is probably because of the transmission. Now there's nothing wrong with the transmission in the V6 model. I just want to make that very clear. But I like the idea of just having the 8 HP 75 transmission because this is a very robust transmission. It's a ZF transmission, so it's like a German engineered trans. And I like the idea that it's been used in the heavy duty segment, so you kind of have that capability kind of backing it already. But yeah, the shifts are really smooth. As soon as you touch the pedal, it just goes. And it doesn't really sound like a V8, which is not a bad thing. It kind of has that V6 sound to it. I don't know if they changed anything under the hood, but overall, I mean, this is the one I would go with. I mean, I'm gonna go down to about 20 miles an hour here. All right, and I'm gonna hit it. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, it sounds like a V8 now. So when I hit it just a little while ago, it had like more of like a softer sound to it, but you can hear an exhaust from the back, which you can fix that really easily. All you gotta do is get rid of like it's like a suitcase basically on the underbody of it basically that they use to quiet it down, and you can really open up the sound in this thing. But I'm really loving this option. Now I don't see that there is a button for the stop start function, which was typically up on the top here. So I guess you lose that function. So that's probably going to affect fuel economy a little bit, but nothing wrong with not having that. All right, guys, so we've come to the point where we're going to do a 0 to 60 run. I'm going to give it the digital readout so you guys can see it perfectly. There are some cars coming, so hold on. Let's go ahead and let them go by. Put the cautions on so no one feels like they have to wait for me. All right, here we go. Now what I'm gonna do is, when I get home, I'm gonna link the videos together, and that way you guys can kind of see the acceleration comparison kind of side by side. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that the V8 is going to probably have the V6 V5 probably 5 to 7 miles an hour. That's my guess. So if I'm wrong, obviously you guys will see it in the video, but man, this is a great option. I was right. I said in my head, the only way to take this from me is with the 5.7. Now, if you don't know, the 5.7 has MDS. MDS is multi-displacement, and all it does is it drops the cylinder sound to 4 when you're just cruising on a highway like I am right now. Now, I am going to reset the fuel mileage right now, right here at the exit sign, reset. And then we're gonna go down the road here. I'm gonna come back, and then that'll pretty much effectively end the drive for the 5.7. And then we'll go get the keys for the 3.6 liter, which is also an Overland, as you saw. And that will be a really good comparison. Like, so I'm at 0.3 miles, I'm showing 18.9. I'm going up a little bit of a grade. Now this road is not flat, so I want to make that clear. So for both drives, we're gonna do the same thing, and we'll be going up some grades. And for the most part, the roads won't be too flat here. So this should be a really good like comparison for like city and highway driving, basically. If I were in the market for a Grand Cherokee L, this would be the exact model I would buy. I would skip the Summit and the Summit Reserve, and the reason why is you get a lot of the same features in those trims, but I like this color interior with the white. I think it looks so nice, and I like the wheel design on this Grand Cherokee L better than the Summit. So I like the 5-spoke design better than what they have with those, and you save a little bit of money. Like, this is $66,000, guys. Like, this is not a cheap SUV, and you just get a lot of the same features. For example, like I have the massaging seats on. Let me see here. They have lower back, waterfall, extend, low extend, rock climb, and you can really feel like I have it on its highest setting, and it's working perfectly. The other thing I like about this is you can actually change the bowstring on the side of the seats to make it a little bit tighter. So it gives you this illusion that you're in a sports car when you're just in an SUV. Now I'm going to make a U-turn. I'm at 21.5 at 2.3 miles that I drove. We're going to go back the opposite direction. I'm giving it about 30% throttle right now. I'm going to mess up the fuel economy a little bit. That's like that city driving right there. And with the grades and everything, it kind of levels it back off again. So yeah, like I said, I think that this is a good test for both. Like right now I'm at 16. It's depressing. It's 5.7. It's just going down and down and down. But nevertheless, when we go back this way and come back and get back to the dealership, that'll be the end off of the fuel economy. So I have it steering for me right now, and you know, let's see if I'm gonna go on a curve right here. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. It's literally driving from right now. That's insane. We are literally driving without our hands on the steering wheel. I'm going around a curve. Let me change cameras real quick so you can see this. This is crazy. I'm literally sitting in a comfortable seat with the cooled seats on. Look at this. I got my cooled seats on. My car's driving me. Like, look at this thing. This is just, I mean, this, guys, tell me we are not living in the best time. I don't care what the future holds. I just know that this is just insane. Like, I don't have my hands on the steering wheel, guys. I'm not doing anything, and it's just, it's driving us right now. Look at that. Oh, I've never driven in a car like a Tesla or anything like that, so I'm just in awe right now. I refuse to drive a Tesla because I hate electric cars because they pose a threat to our combustion engine, so I'm a hater. Uh oh, so it did a little bit of a correction there, looking for the line a little bit, but then the line, because there's like a median turn here, and then it found it again. That's so cool. Wow. So you can literally drive this thing no hands. So cool. Amazing stuff. And all you have to do is just push this button here to turn it on. This is the SUV I would get, guys. I would definitely skip the Summit and the Summit Reserve because you have a lot of the great features you would want in those higher trim levels. I'm in awe again. So you see the green lines on the side of the screen? So those illuminate when you're like basically in like the self-driving mode here. But let me see something. If I were to, oh wow. So it did disable it when I turned it outside of the lines. Let's do it again. I'm amazed. Like, this is crazy. I need to do a separate video on this. All right, here we go. Here's a perfect curve coming up here right now. That is just amazing. Absolutely amazing, guys. We made it back to the dealership. Here's the fuel economy. 8.7 miles, 18.8 MPGs at 10 minutes. So that is not bad, guys. That is not bad at all. So like I said, this is a really good test for me, and I think that this is a good option for people who might be in the market for a Grand Cherokee L. When you get from a light interior and a light color car to a darker color to a darker interior, it gets like really hot. Like, I'm sweating, and I feel like the seats aren't getting as cooled as what it was in the other Overland. So that's just something to keep note of. If you live in really hot climates, I love the way black interior looks, but I typically skip it because it's always just so much more uncomfortable. But in this Grand Cherokee L, there actually is a package missing. So you don't really have a few things, like you don't have the like heads-up display, you don't have the night vision, things like that. So just be careful when you're going and looking for these. You might want to consider some of the features that you probably saw online, and some of them are not standard on the Overland, but the one I just drove, it had just about every option on it except for maybe one or two. I do like the fact that you can adjust your steering wheel with power. It does come in handy, especially when you're driving. It's just a lot more easier. But already, oh yeah, it's way off. The performance that you get out of this V6 is not bad, but it's definitely slower than the Grand Cherokee I just drove. Like, it's night and day difference. I'm gonna get back down to 20 miles an hour. Here we go. All right, ready? Oh yeah, 50. It's slower. It's definitely slower, and that's not a surprise. I mean, you're comparing 357 horsepower to 290 horsepower, so you're definitely up more on the power, and you have more cylinders, so there's no surprise there. But all in all, I mean, if you want the best fuel economy, this V6 is going to land that for you. So I'm going to show you guys the acceleration test in a little bit, and that way you have a better idea of the 0 to 60 between basically the 5.7 and the V6. So I'm really excited to see that. Now, this one does not have that driving system that was driving me. It doesn't have that, so that's probably bundled up with the package with the night vision and the heads-up display. All right, here we go. overall acceleration for the V6 is good. I don't want people to think that you're driving a 4-cylinder Jeep Grand Cherokee L. That's not the case. This feels way better than it did 15, 20 years ago. Like, V6s were dog, I feel like. Especially if you go drive a Toyota 4Runner, that V6, that 4.0 is a dog. I mean, it feels gutless. And I feel like this has more oomph than that did. But I like this setup, but I think I would definitely still get the 5.7. I would spend that $3,295 that you have to spend to get it, and I think it's worth it. I think it's worth the couple bucks that you get, especially for resale value. I think a lot more people do prefer to have that bigger engine with these, you know, higher trim levels. I would definitely be looking for that if I were in the market for one of these. Now I'm gonna go ahead and reset the fuel economy at the exit sign up here, and then we're gonna go ahead and check out the fuel economy difference between both of them. All right, here we go. I'm thinking that the V6 is going to get about 2 MPG better than the V8. And although the V6 doesn't have like multi-displacement like the 5.7, you have less cylinders. So, and I think that displacement deactivation is going to do better on longer trips. If you're just doing 6 miles down the highway, you're probably not going to see a huge difference. But if you're traveling for 2-3 hours, that's where that multi-displacement really does come in handy. And I think that's where you will see the biggest difference with that system. But if you're not driving for long periods of time, like on this test, it probably never really activated. And you have to be at a constant speed. You can't be accelerating and doing things like that, because it just turns you back off and it goes up to 8 cylinders again. But yeah, so far we're at 18 MPG. We're about to make our U-turn up here in a second, and then it'll drop down a good amount, and then, like I said, we'll go back the other way, and then that'll pretty much effectively end the drive for the V6. I just got done listening to the Macintosh sound system in this thing. I want to say it has like 19 or 21 speakers, something crazy. And it sounds amazing. You know, back in the day, when you would like blast the music, it would distort really bad. But when you turn the music up on these sound systems, like, it sounds amazing today. Now, Macintosh hasn't done car audio before, and they're not doing it right now. And for the Jeep Grand Cherokee and the Grand Wagoneer, they, I guess they help develop the sound systems in the cars, and it sounds really good. Like, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between JBL and Mark Levinson and Bose and all the different ones that manufacturers use. I mean, for the most part, you can go crazy with sound systems, but what really matters is if you have a good subwoofer, good tweeters, and I feel like they have a really good balance inside of this SUV. I like the transmission a lot better with the 5.7, and it's just because I can just tell that it's just a little bit more refined. It's a little bit more robust. You can clearly tell there's a difference between the two. Nothing wrong with this 850 RE, but I think the 8HP 75 is the way to go. And if you're planning on towing a good bit, like if you want to tow a trailer, you know, a few times a month, you know, a couple hundred miles, I would definitely just say, you know, skip the V6 in this transmission to get to the 5.7. I think that this transmission, it feels like it's for a car. Like, it doesn't shift as like confident, I guess. I guess this seems a little bit more softer, I guess. That's the best way to put it. But if I was in the market, yeah, it's just gonna sound more biased because it's a no-brainer option for some people. Now, most people will say a twin turbo V6 would be a better option, and I kind of agree with that. I like the idea of a twin turbo V6, but when you think about longevity, having a V8 just sounds a lot better, especially if you are going to be towing. I mean, because with turbos, you really should be using premium gasoline, because that forced induction, you know, it needs, that engine needs to be able to have the highest octane to prevent any kind of engine knocking. So I do like the fact that Stellantis is using this 5.7 as opposed to doing what everyone else is doing, and that's going twin turbo. All right, we have made it back. Same spot. We're at 21.7, so I was off. I believe the 5.7 stopped at about 18.2. I think this is a good test for people who might be looking. If you're not looking to tow, I think that the 5.7 is still a good option. And you know, most of the Grand Cherokees that are being built are gonna have this V6. I think that this is gonna have a better resale value. So yeah, I definitely would strongly consider getting the 5.7. I mean, this is the V6 I'm driving now, but that 5.7 is definitely the way to go. So just keep that in mind. But I hope this video was helpful. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell notification. That way you can show your support for this channel. I know these videos have been helpful for a lot of people, so go ahead and show your support down below by doing those things. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.